before we get into Rookie of the Year.
Okay, so first team rookie, I had Mobley, Cunningham, Scottie Barnes, Franz Wagner, and Giddey.
Yeah, my first team, I had I think this is last basically since I think he got off to a very slow start, but basically since July 1st, Jalen Green has averaged 18 points, 44% from the field, 37 points, or 37% from 3 point range. And like I said, I know even just like prepping, I thought he would come into the league and average 20 points, and he got out to a slow start, but he's at 17 points per game, 5 straight games, and maybe it's possibly a little bit of recency bias. I get it. I wouldn't be mad. It maybe I'm being prisoner of the moment, but I think, especially how he's finished off this last, basically since January 1st, in totality, he's been really damn good and just kind of shine that light on how good of a rookie and how good of a scorer he could possibly be. So, I mean, let's get into it after this. I mean, even Franz, bro. I think Franz has been way better than anybody can expect. I think he has an argument for the most consistent and the most steady rookie out of all these guys. I think he's been a better. Like his scoring game is so much more advanced than I think a lot of people gave him credit for. He can do it to you in a lot of ways. High feel for the game. Has an argument for being possibly the best player on that Magic team,
Yeah,
and he's the type of guy. He has that skill set to where he can play with anybody. And if you have ball handlers, you have another big wing. He could do it all. So, I mean, just getting into Rookie of the Year real quick while we are on the youngins. I mean, what was like your top 3 to 5? And I think there's a lot of arguments that can be made for. I mean, Friends legit for I think in a down year, Friends has definitely had a Rookie of the Year
yep.
type of season. And like if somebody had Friends number 1, I necessarily wouldn't be. I don't think it's crazy. But as far as going through Rookie of the Year, how was that process for you? And what did you make of all these guys? Obviously, huge Scottie Barnes fan, each of us. So what did you make of this? I think all these guys have an argument that can be made for each of them.
Yeah, it was tough, right? I mean, like Mobley was one of those guys that really showed out in the beginning of the year. And up until he got hurt, he showed his defensive versatility, which was we were saying things like people were saying things like they've never seen a big man to be able to stay in front of like one through four like the way he did, and he can literally guard 1 through 5. And his shot blocking ability was incredible. So I mean, just on that front alone, he had a an opportunity to win the award, and he was on my list. And then you had Giddey down in Oklahoma City, who he, like, to Matt's point, friend of the show, he was passing incredibly. And once he got into a groove, obviously it's hard to watch the Thunder sometimes, and to kind of to watch through that fodder that they're running down there in Oklahoma. But like his play shined through. And then when you have to sit there and look at somebody like Franz Wagner, to your point, like you said, he also had. It was literally my whole rookie first team that I had to decide between this, because I feel like it was that tight. Cade came on a little later after he got back from that injury, and he looked like the player that we thought he would be. And then obviously Scottie Barnes, filling in for Pascal admirably in the beginning of the year, playing in different positions. We even got to see point Scottie Barnes at some point this year. So it was just a breath of talent that this first team kind of gives us hope into the future. And I mean, Rookie of the Year, I biasly, and I will admit my bias in this one, I biasly went with Scottie Barnes. And I do, one, he has the team success, and that's more of a team thing, but he was also able to play into that system and fill in for a very major cog for a major part of that year. So there wasn't much of a drop off. Obviously there was a drop off when you're missing somebody like Pascal Siakam, but he did fill in and he played that role, and I gave him the nod there just because of a bit of that team success, which is unfair because obviously the Cavs also experienced some team success with Mobley, but I just gave Scotty Barnes the nudge.
I mean, just real quick though, like just in terms of like expectations, to let you go a little further on that, like what, just talking about, to go a little further on Scotty, just in terms of like expectations and what he got. And I think just watching him and going through like a recent deep dive I did on just Scotty, watching some more of him, man. I think one of the things that you said, even you know what I'm saying, go check out the old content draft breakdown we did for Scotty. And I think you like, even though he shot 30% from three, which is like not great, but he's not he wasn't afraid to like let it fly. And I think that's kind of like one of the, like, it's not, he's not like like, I don't think there's like a Ben Simmons concern with him there, to where like we don't think he's ever going to, like, he's afraid to shoot, like, or like, is this guy working on his jump shot at any moment. But I mean, just in terms of like expectations for Scotty and what you saw from him, what did he, how much did he impress you on, like, even just taking it to another level, and and just like I said, from day one. And he was pretty much incredible. I think so much of his game translated, and it was a lot of little things that he did that just gave him that incredibly high floor. But even watching him, I'm just like, wow, man. Like he's especially one of those guys that it's not wise to put a ceiling on what he can be in the future.
Yeah, it's. I think the most impressive thing for me with Scotty was that we thought, his offense would take a little bit longer to come along. I did not see him. It's not like he's out here lighting it up either. In terms of just being a super, offensive player. But I thought we would see the struggles there a lot more than we did this rookie year, which was like a big surprise to me and a happy surprise to me. I thought, a little bit of the playmaking and the defensive ability was what was going to shine through and get him his minutes. But the fact that he hasn't been a minus for this team offensively is where, it kind of has my wheels turning about, like you said, don't put a ceiling on him, because, if that offensive game continues to grow, and it seems to have taken a step from college when he got to the NBA with a little bit more space, if that's something that continues to grow over this offseason, we're looking at somebody who has the ability to be a star player in this league.
And I think, even like I said, Polypox in the chat again, do we still see Cade as the best player in this class going forward? And like I said, I think it's
I
like
mean, yeah, until further notice is like
like, I
that's how
love
I feel
Cade.
about it.
I had him number one in on my board, obviously, coming in. I think, like I said, I still think the jury's out. If we're just like, and that's no disrespect to Cade, because Cade has been every bit as good as I've thought he's been. It sucks for him. I think in this case, the ankle injury that he did have, I believe it was an ankle injury earlier in the season. I think that played a big part of he wasn't able to hit the ground running. And it's tough because I think people kind of jumped the ship on like him struggling early. He didn't play much in the preseason. He kind of just got thrown into the fire early when he was coming back. Obviously, he was working himself back into game shape. And I kind of think, yeah, it was about maybe that first like 15 games of the season that he was working himself back into form before he really got, you know what I'm saying, got back to what Cade's done. But like I said, I think he's gonna have a similar element to even a guy like Luca, who obviously that's huge praise to even make corollaries to how skillful and how that production is gonna be similar. So I think even with a guy like Cade, the efficiency has kind of been the only thing that hasn't been there for him this year. I think he's at off the top of my head, I think he was around like 32% from three. I'm not worried about his shot going forward. He was taking. I think part of that is just. I think she's had good shooting months. The shooting has been a little bit more. It's been variant for him and a little volatile. But I'm not concerned about a shot. Like, even like if you just want to go off percentages for him, like a guy like Luca, like I think people, if you look at just Luca's pure percentages, I'm not sure if he's ever shot over 35 or 36% shoot from three on a year. But I think him as a shooter, the degree of difficulty on the shots that he's able to take, I'm not concerned about Cade's jump shot and his shooting ability in the future. I think that's going to be especially as he works hard at that, I think he's going to be even better on it. But yeah, for me, if I had to go, I think I'm going to go Mobley one. Cade 2, Scottie Barnes 3, Franz 4, and I think I probably like shit. I probably go Herb Jones 5 over Jalen for the entire year. But talk about Mobley for a second, man. Before we get on these rookies, the kid legitimately had a case as he was the connective tissue on that team that just made everything fit. His defensive versatility. You look at somebody like just the amount of bigs, and we talked about this before, but like even looking at somebody like Anthony Davis, who obviously had a down year this year, but guys with that level of defensive potential don't come around often. It's a legit game changing defensive presence. Even looking at he might not guard fives all the time. He didn't need to with Jared Allen now, but even when Jared Allen was hurt or with Jared Allen in the lineup, even when Jared Allen was in the lineup, just his versatility. One of the most fundamental defensive players. Like I think just watching him, like it's AD, it's Tim Duncan, the guys that we're talking about how good of a defender that he can be. I think I don't think, I've seen people making the argument if you're just looking at the box score and saying, oh, Evan Mobley, he's only averaging 13, 14 points or whatever, 15 and 8 or whatever it is at this season. And I just think that's a very lame argument. It doesn't, if you watch what he's able to do and how much he affects the game on a possession to possession basis. This is rare stuff that we're seeing. And he's going to continue to get better. And his second year leap, especially as his like I think he can get to a 20 point per game scorer pretty easily. In a next year, if he's averaging 20 points, wouldn't be surprised. A couple years down the line, also wouldn't be surprised. He has is he going to be a 3-point shooter? He was hitting his shot really well early in the season. I don't know how. I think he's going to get to league average. So I think he's a better shooter than young AD. So I think even if we're just talking about a shot, that kid is going to be incredible. So yeah, man, I got Mobley. No disrespect. It's one of those things to where if you got Cade one, if you got Cunningham one, if you got Franz one, I'm not mad at any of them. So I really don't think it's one of those things where like I'm looking at